using the Ink Manager and previewing our color separations. I want to get this document set up a little bit more and then take a look at this Ink Manager dialog box, because this box lets us control the inks that are created on the swatches panel. And it especially is useful when we're looking at spot colors and process color inks. And it lets us do some kind of conversion if we don't want to do a print run with spot colors. We can convert those spot colors to process. So I want to just import a few things here. Let's bring in some more pictures. I'm going to do a file and place. A couple more images here. I'm going to hold down my control key to select both of those two to get my loaded cursor and put them in here. Now I have to decide if I really want to resize them. I'm going to use my direct selection tool. Remember, that's the way that we can select and manipulate. This is the whole size of this picture, but you know what? He's kind of cute and fits nice there. Same with this one. We'll get a kind of an abstract. If we want to, we can resize it. Now we can use our fit proportionally if we want. This guy's got a super long tongue. He was licking the post. Kind of a fun picture there. And then this one we can zoom in just a little bit. Oops, if we can grab it. Doesn't want to grab on that one. To get his kind of, oh, and now I just moved the background. Okay, so some close-ups here of some of our creatures. Now if I wanted to fill, say, some color in down here, I can do that. One thing that maybe you're not aware of, under the window menu and color, we have the Adobe color themes. This comes from the Cooler site. If you have subscribed to adobe.com, you can have access to Cooler, adobe.cooler, K-U-L-E-R. And it allows us to mix some colors here, but we can also explore some themes. The neat thing here is that I can then put, say I like this theme, on the action, I can actually place this, add this to my swatches panel, which is a really fun thing, and there it is. So now I have access to these colors. These are actually RGB colors here, and I can fill in my colors if I'd like, if I so desire. What if I want to use a spot color? How do I access that? So we have some libraries that we can open. And again, we're going to bring them into our color panel here. So let's do this. Let's go over here and we're going to look at some of our swatches. We're going to do maybe a new swatch. Here's again our new color swatch. When I do that, I can choose my color type. So if I want a spot color, and here are my libraries. Remember, these are, Pantone is just a brand name. We have Toyo and True Match, but Pantone is probably the most common. And I'm able to add some of these colors into my document. So let's just say we're going to use maybe some of these grays. So I can click Add, and here it is, pops up as Pantone. And I can do a couple others here. Okay, what I'm noticing is that this actually does not have the spot color icon. This one did, but yet they're still registering as CMYK. So InDesign is forcing them to fit into a CMYK color. Let's just look. On this one, I actually was able to go to my swatch options here and see how it forced it to CMYK. Let's do a Pantone Solid Coated instead. Make sure that this is a spot. Click OK. Just see how I get a spot icon here, but I still am registering it with the CMYK. We'll see what's happening when we go to Ink Manager. So under my Print Options menu, I'm going to choose Ink Manager. And here is all of my inks that I'm using, and you can see that my Pantone ones are registering there as Pantone. So I have the CMYK, and then I have an additional 2 Pantone colors that I'm using. Now here's where I can choose all spots to process. If I don't want to have spot colors, I can convert them all to process, and it converts them to a CMYK color. If I need to keep with those spot colors, I wouldn't want to do that. Now in this case, this would be a 6-color print run if I'm printing this in a 4-color process, because I would have 4-color CMYK with the addition of 2 spot colors. So the ink manager is nice in that it lets us see how our colors are managed. It allows us to force some of those spot colors to process. I'll click OK. The last thing I want to show you is the separation preview panel. This is again under my window, and we're going to look at output and separation preview. So this allows us to, at a glance, take a look at what is again going on at the number of inks that's available for printing. This area is interactive in that if I turn my view to separations here, it's going to think for a moment. If I click on one of these ink areas here, click on an ink in the separation preview panel, that area that's going to be using that ink will appear as black out in my document, and areas that don't use ink will disappear. So I don't have actually these colors being used anywhere. You can see that I get all white. If I go back up here, you can see that this is, you know, where my magenta, my cyan, all of that. So if I were to click on this box and make it be my Pantone instead, now let's go to separations here, and you can see that this is a full amount of that Pantone color. So again, a nice way to manage some color in InDesign.